Bonjour tout le monde. Let's look at how long it takes to learn French. But first of all, don't fall into the trap, please, of thinking that someone can tell you it will take you 10 lessons, 20 lessons, 3 months. There are so many considerations that this will take a bit longer than the 1-minute video that you'll find on YouTube where somebody claims that they can teach you straight away. There are so many considerations that they are worth looking at. So let's go straight in and make sure your learning is real. So whatever you're actually learning, are you feeling the rewards of your learning? Is it effective? Are you being adventurous with it? Do you look forward to your learning? And do you know how you are learning? These things really make a difference because you can waste a lot of time and money going around in circles because you're not doing it in the way that you particularly want to learn. You think you're doing the right thing. So let's look at these considerations. Starting with the expectation that officially it takes about 600 hours, which is why in schools from 11 to 16, it takes all those years of lessons to learn. Well, that's turning the pages, learning everything that you need to do all the grammar and all the vocabulary that you need to pass exams. But you can get by without all that. So it really does vary as adults as well as to how you're going to be learning and how much you can actually absorb and how much time you can dedicate and who you can practice with. No one can say, I'll get you up and speaking in 3 months. It doesn't make sense because they're not paying attention to the way you learn, how much time you've got and your own recall. These things matter. So how long is a piece of string? Think about it. Think about what you're actually going to be doing for learning your French. That will determine how long it will take you to get speaking French. And then I have another question for you. You get speaking, you get applying your knowledge, you do this immediately, you've got your textbook and you want instant recall and you want to speak naturally. So in theory, you should get speaking immediately if possible. Now that is interesting because you can't get speaking immediately unless you've got a good framework. But what are you going to learn to say? So I've got some friends who are coming to me now saying, can you get me speaking French, Christine? Because I've been on Duolingo for 3 years and Duolingo's fun, it's entertaining, but it's quite challenging to get that instant recall when you're in a conversation. And it's good for background French, it's good for practicing sentences that are made for you, but spontaneous recall in a realistic situation, you need that as well. So how much time is enough time? Where do you start with all this? Here's a thought. If you were given a list of things to memorize and an adaptable framework of language building structures, what's the difference? Should you do one? Should you do the other? Or I would suggest that you use both. Get learning, get speaking, and integrate them. It matters that you have both systems. So again, enough time is enough for what you want. So if I just pop back here, over on the right, you've got the verb avoir, and here it is applied. What would you do to apply that knowledge? Are you going to stand with somebody and have to say you're cold or you've got a dog or you want some kind of idiomatic expression, oh, j'ai la pêche aujourd'hui, you're full of energy today. If you want to apply that knowledge, you're going to come up with something like this on the right, but it's nice to have the base as well. So that's quite interesting. The last thing you want to do is to say, yes, I know French, I've memorized my verbs. And then you're standing in front of someone and through your head it's going, j'ai, tu, as, il a, elle a, a. You want instant recall, and to do that you need application. So how long is long enough? Again, how long's a piece of string? So why do you want to learn French? You can get speaking very quickly if you pick up some phrases and just get by. But if you move into France, you're going to want to invite people to your house and go beyond je voudrais and merci and oh, il fait beau, n'est-ce pas? You want to move past that. So you need different levels of mastery Consider how much you want to know, and that will show you how long it will take to actually get all that information. No, it won't tell you how much. And consider how much you want to learn, and then start thinking how much free time have you got to be able to apply to that. So here we go with time. How much of your time do you have to dedicate to learning? So here's an example. In my 40s, I decided to learn Spanish. I took 5 hours a week of my week. I did 2 hours in lessons, 1 hour in written exercises, and then 2 hours a week in different conversations, making sure I was applying this. In 18 months, I got a grade A in my A-level Spanish. How did I do that? Because I'm no linguistic genius. So consider this. Are you feeling the rewards of your learning? I did. This is how I felt. I'd learnt something and I went out there and I practiced it. And then I developed the instant recall of my new grammar and vocabulary by applying it all the time. Is it effective? Ask that. You really need to think of your conversations and have them structured so that you are practicing what you're learning. Make sure that you get instant feedback on your pronunciation and find out a better way to say it. And then saying it means that you are going to understand it more when you're hearing it said back to you at full speed, rather than cramming yourself full of vocabulary ready for an exam, which says you're proficient in a language, but you can't actually get out there and apply it. Is your learning adventurous? If you're bored, or you're just memorising, you'll find that it can be quite a challenge. It's unstimulating and you've got less chance of remembering it. But if you play with the language and getting that feedback that you want, it's far more stimulating. Make your learning adventurous somehow. Get that feedback. So over here, instead of just learning the verb avoir, find ways to work it. Find ways to apply it. And then move on. Try the past, the present, the future, the negative. Try different ways of using this. It really makes a massive difference. So, do you look forwards to your learning? I remember being really excited about the speaking time, and it's where it came together. So when I was doing my writing practice, so that it would help me just memorise some of the words and the grammar, and apply what I'd been learning in my grammar learning time, I was really excited to get out there and practice it, and that's what made the difference. I remembered it without having to revise. And then when I felt ready, and that was after, I think it was about 4 months, I said, I'm going to Spain. And I organised myself a week away and I lived the language. It really made a massive difference. I could have gone earlier. I thought I could have started this earlier, but I wanted to apply everything I'd been doing. And then that was a springboard and it went way up after that. I wasn't perfect. People were too fast around me, but I had the basics and in I went. Now, do you know how you're learning? This really matters. How do you know if you're learning? Do you know how you're learning? How are you feeling confident? Or are you having a conversation and you feel that you're forgetting everything? This really matters. Everybody takes a dip in their learning. Sometimes you're tired, sometimes you forget it. Sometimes you just need more application and that's all it is. But when you have a low point, remember the end point. The end point is where you want to be, and that makes the difference. It keeps you driving forwards because there's no actual end to learning a language. Not as an adult. There's always more to learn. So then ask yourself, how much time have you got? If someone says, yes, you can learn French in 3 months, how much time are you going to spend to actually learn everything that you need to know in 3 months or 3 weeks? Or whatever it is. Again, how long is a piece of string? I do suggest that you avoid random chat sessions with no learning aim, with no one to actually correct you. It's all right to practice, but you're only going to consolidate mistakes if someone's not there saying, this way, try that again, pronounce it this way. And divide your time carefully into learning, practicing grammar, and having structured feedback time on your speaking. It really does matter. Now, who do you learn with? On your own, a group, or both? Well, I did everything. I got myself a teacher, I had a coach, I used a textbook, I did some online, I did everything I could and blended it all. And I soon found out which way I liked most. One thing I found that was missing was that I knew what I wanted and I worked out very quickly how I wanted to do it because I'm a teacher. And not a lot of people know what to do and they start trying to learn and the children come in, the dog comes in, he needs to go for a walk, somebody needs a meal. Whatever it is, you've got all these interruptions. Even at work, if you dedicate 30 minutes after work, before coming home, somebody sees you and in they come. Prepare everybody around you. That's your time. It's sacred. Don't do it before everybody's hungry. Make sure you choose a time that is sensible, that you can actually dedicate to yourself. I also suggest find out your personality. If you're not learning very well, or your structure of learning is not effective, maybe there's something that you need to know. When I did the accelerator course, when I wrote it, I have a French accelerator course, by the way, I studied Myers-Briggs personality and I put in there ways of learning French of what you might be failing on and where you can go with it because of the way you come out in this test. It's just in there. Now, do you really want to learn on your own is important. I enjoyed learning on my own. I wanted to think, work it out, but then I looked for other people. So that's the important thing. Don't be scared of getting with other people and practicing because it's messy. It's going to happen. You need to have that application. And that's where we have regular communities to join. So I've got Conversation Cafe and you can discover that with simplyfrenchonline/cafe. Check it out. I don't want to do too much selling here. It's up to you to go in and have a look. But if you want to speak in a small group, breakout groups with support materials, have weekly meetings, monthly coaching calls, a private community, French natives and a teacher present, it's worth checking out. So, how long does it take to learn French? I hope you've made sense of those considerations and you can work out how long it will take for you to learn the French that you actually need to know. Merci beaucoup. À la prochaine.